Before they were legends. Part 9. Jeff Bezos, the risk that built Amazon. In the summer of 1994, a young Wall Street executive sat in his office staring at a single statistic. It was a number most people would have ignored, but to him, it looked like the future. The number was 2,300%. That was the annual growth rate of the internet. Not 23%, not 230%, 2,300%. Something massive was happening. Quietly, silently. The world didn't notice yet, but one man did. And what he did next looked completely insane. He walked away from a six-figure job at one of the most powerful hedge funds in New York. He left prestige. He left security. He left Wall Street. And he drove across America with a business plan scribbled on paper. His idea? Selling books on the internet. In 1994, that idea sounded ridiculous. The internet itself barely existed. Most people had never even heard the word online. But that strange, risky decision would eventually create a company that would change how the entire planet shops. A company that would become one of the most powerful empires in business history. That company was Amazon. But before Amazon conquered the world, before Jeff Bezos became one of the richest men alive, before rockets, space travel, and global dominance, there was only a risky idea, a garage, and a man willing to gamble everything. This is the hidden story of Jeff Bezos before he became a legend. Part 1. The boy who loved building things. Long before Amazon, before billions of dollars, before the world knew his name, Jeff Bezos was just a curious boy growing up in Texas. He was born January 12, 1964, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. His mother, Jackie, was only 17 years old when he was born. Life wasn't easy. His biological father soon disappeared from his life. But Jeff's story changed when his mother remarried a Cuban immigrant named Miguel, or Mike Bezos. Mike adopted Jeff and raised him as his own son. And from an early age, Jeff Bezos showed signs of a mind that worked differently. He didn't just play with toys, he took them apart. He wanted to know how things worked. When he was just a child, he turned his parents' garage into a laboratory. He built inventions, conducted experiments, created small machines. Once, when his younger siblings kept entering his room, Jeff built a homemade alarm system to keep them out. Not because he was mean, but because he loved solving problems. Curiosity drove him, and curiosity would later become the engine behind Amazon. But another influence shaped Jeff Bezos deeply: his grandfather. Every summer, Jeff spent time on his grandfather's ranch in Texas. His grandfather had been an engineer at the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission. Out there, far from cities, Jeff learned something powerful. If something breaks, you fix it yourself. No excuses, no waiting for someone else. Just solve the problem. That mindset became one of the defining philosophies of Bezos's life. Part 2. The mind of a future builder. By the time Jeff reached high school, his teachers already knew he was different. He was obsessed with science, technology, and the future. He devoured books, not just fiction, but books about space, physics, and computers. One of his biggest dreams was humanity living among the stars. Even as a teenager, Jeff Bezos believed the future of humanity was in space. But before space, there was another revolution happening: computers. In the 1980s, computers were still rare, but Bezos saw their potential. He went to Princeton University, where he studied electrical engineering and computer science, and at Princeton, he sharpened his mind. But Jeff didn't just want a job. He wanted to build things, create systems, solve massive problems. After graduating in 1986, he entered the world of finance and technology, and very quickly, people noticed his talent. Part 3. The Wall Street Rising Star. Jeff Bezos moved to New York and joined the world of Wall Street. This was the heart of global finance, the most competitive minds in business, and Bezos thrived there. He worked at several technology-focused companies before landing at a powerful hedge fund called D.E. Shaw & Co. D.E. Shaw was one of the most innovative investment firms in the world. They used computers and algorithms to predict markets, and Bezos quickly rose through the ranks. By age 30, he had become senior vice president. It was an incredible achievement. He had wealth, prestige, power, a secure future. Most people would have stayed forever, but Jeff Bezos noticed something strange, a small technological revolution happening quietly: the internet. At the time, the internet was still primitive, slow, confusing, and used mostly by scientists and universities. But Bezos discovered a report that changed everything. Internet usage was growing 2,300% per year. This was not normal growth, it was explosive. It meant something massive was coming, and Bezos realized something most people missed: the internet would change commerce itself. Part 4. The decision that terrified everyone. Jeff Bezos began thinking about a radical idea. If people could connect online, maybe they could buy things online. But what should be sold? Bezos made a list of 20 possible products: music, software, clothing, electronics. But one category stood out: books. Why books? Because there were millions of titles in the world. No physical bookstore could stock them all, but an online store could. That was the insight: an infinite bookstore. But there was a problem. To pursue the idea, Bezos had to leave Wall Street, leave security, leave money. He discussed the decision with his boss, and surprisingly, his boss supported him. But he gave Bezos a warning. This is a great idea for someone who doesn't already have a great job. Bezos faced the biggest decision of his life: stay safe or chase the unknown. He used something he called the regret minimization framework. He imagined himself at age 80, looking back at his life. Would he regret trying or regret never taking the risk? The answer became clear. He quit his job. Part 5. The road trip that started Amazon. In 1994, Jeff Bezos and his wife Mackenzie packed their car and drove across the United States, from New York to Seattle. During that road trip, Bezos wrote the Amazon business plan. While Mackenzie drove, Jeff sat in the passenger seat typing ideas on a laptop. It was the birth of something that would reshape the global economy. But at the time, it was nothing, just a risky dream. They chose Seattle for one key reason: access to talented engineers and proximity to major book distributors. Soon, Jeff Bezos rented a small house and turned the garage into a startup office. Amazon had begun. Part 6. The Garage Years. The early Amazon office was nothing glamorous. No fancy headquarters, no investors lining up, just desks made from wooden doors. Yes, actual doors from hardware stores. Bezos turned them into desks to save money. This became Amazon's first symbol of frugality. The team was tiny, just a handful of engineers, working day and night, building the website, testing systems, preparing the first online bookstore. Finally, in July 1995, Amazon launched. And at first, nothing happened. Then something incredible happened. Orders started arriving, not just from Seattle, but from across America, then from other countries. Within weeks, Amazon was shipping books to all 50 states and dozens of countries. Something was happening. Something big. Part 7. Chaos, growth, and the struggle to survive. Amazon grew faster than anyone expected. Orders flooded in, but the company was barely prepared. Employees packed books on the floor, sometimes until 2 or 3 a.m. One day, Bezos noticed something ridiculous. They were packing orders on their knees. Why? Because they didn't have packing tables. So Bezos went out and bought packing tables immediately. This was classic Bezos, constantly improving systems, constantly optimizing. Amazon became known for an obsession with customer experience, fast delivery, low prices, huge selection. And Bezos believed in something radical. Instead of maximizing profits, Amazon would maximize long-term growth. invest everything back into the company. Many critics said this was madness, but Bezos believed patience would win. Part 9. The empire that grew from a risk. From a garage startup, Amazon became one of the most powerful companies on Earth. It transformed retail, created millions of jobs, built global logistics networks, launched Amazon Web Services powering huge parts of the internet. And Jeff Bezos, the man who once drove across America with a risky idea, became one of the richest and most influential figures in modern history. But the real story isn't just about wealth, it's about something deeper. A simple but terrifying choice. The courage to leave safety and chase possibility. Because every legend begins the same way, with uncertainty, with doubt, with risk. And sometimes, the biggest empires in history begin in the most ordinary places, like a garage, with a strange idea, and a man who refuses to ignore the future. If you enjoyed this hidden story behind one of the world's greatest business empires, make sure you subscribe, because the legends you know today all started somewhere, and their beginnings are often far more fascinating than their success. This is before they were legends, and the next story might surprise you even more.